You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And that is how you wrap up a road trip. Celtics 122-107 victory on the road in Dallas against the Mavericks, who were shorthanded. But you know what? The Celtics and the starters, 1 through 5, Holiday, White, Brown, Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, all terrific in the victory against the Dallas Mavericks. With that, we welcome you into our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, former show host on satellite radio and ESPN radio. I am here to remind you that Greg Kite wore number 50 during his Celtics days in the 1980s. You are right where you need to be. You are locked on with our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. You know the Locked On Celtics podcast feed is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to talk about Derrick White coming up big. Jrue Holiday dialing up from long distance as well for the Celtics. And the bench, maybe not the point production that we have grown used to, but Kornet, Horford, Pritchard, Hauser coming up with some different stats that certainly help lead the Celtics to the win. Led by as many as 25, end up winning by 15, never trailed at any point in the second half. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button. Join the conversation. Give us a follow on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Also, give a follow on the X, formerly known as Twitter, at Lennox on Hoops. Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, from the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So the Celtics pick up the victory. I was a little nervous about this one. The Dallas Mavericks entered Saturday 2 wins in their previous 7 games. Both of those victories, including a win on Thursday against Oklahoma City. No Luka Doncic, no Derek Lively, no Dwight Powell, no Najee Marshall. You know what? Again, I'm going to state it. You play the team that's in front of you. If they're not dressing full complement of players and a star like Luka Doncic, I do not care. No one's going to feel sorry for the Celtics when they've missed Porzingis or Porzingis and Horford at any stretch in the game. Dallas got off to a strong start, up by 4 after the first quarter. Celtics, though, turned it around. Second quarter, outscoring the Mavericks 34-20. The Celtics scored the first 8 points of that second quarter, up by 10 at the half, up by 20 after 3 quarters. 20-point lead at the end of 3. That's part of Numbers of the Night coming up in segment number 3. Richard Jefferson, by the way, was driving me a little bit crazy. He was giving numbers for the Celtics that the way he stated it late might have been correct, but the way he was stating it early on in the game, I'll get to that as well. He basically said the Celtics were 20-1 when hitting 20 or more threes in a game. Then he said the Celtics are 29-1 when knocking down 20 threes in a game. Later, and I said I was going to do this later, I'm doing it right now because it's on my mind. Later, he sort of said 29-1 over the last 2 seasons. I don't know if that's right, but the Celtics, Numbers of the Night coming up, segment number 3, I'll give you this right now. 15-1 on the season when knocking down 20 or more threes. And those games where they've knocked down 20 or more threes, of late, they've sort of been few and far between. Derrick White, terrific in the second half. Jrue Holiday, again, knocking down 3-pointers. We hit the comment button early. Not that I'm getting on anybody, but the real Darrell has actually been putting comments in before we go live with our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. The real Darrell, I got to tell you, though, on this Saturday, you weren't first. But I love the fact that people are jumping on board right now immediately, knowing we're going live. Rain was first. Similar sentiments from Rain and the real Darrell. Great win tonight. 3-1 road trip. Great way to end the trip with a double-digit win. Great way to end the trip. But now you look forward. Coming back home, long-time running joke, tongue-in-cheek, that first game back after a road trip, back home, that's a tough one. That's what the Celtics have Monday night against Houston. I want a sweep of the Houston Astros. That comes with a victory back at TD Garden Monday night. But again, 3-1 road trip. Rain, the real Darrell checking in. Akram as well. 3-1 to end this trip. Even though the teams we beat weren't at full strength, again, I don't care. But Akram, I get your point. We definitely got better with each game. Shared the basketball. Offensive rebounds. Dallas didn't play on Friday. Dallas, like the Celtics, played on Thursday. Kyrie Irving's still there. But the Celtics were first to lose balls, 50-50 balls in the second half. They got it to 11 on a couple of occasions. I don't think they ever got it below 10 in terms of the deficit for the Mavericks in that second half. That's all I care about. Don't get it below 10. It's a different game if they get it below 10, even with just 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And the Celtics in that third quarter, Dallas came out on a little bit of a run. Mavericks got to within 5. Derrick White knocked down a 3. White offensive rebound, a bucket. Love that. 64-57 in the third. White then a 3. Celtics lead 68-59 at that point in time. So that was a 9-point lead in that third quarter. Then that was the 11th-3 of the game for the Celtics. Derrick White had what I think was a dunk. I didn't go back and rewind it on the DVR, but it looked like it was a dunk. I'll give him credit for it. White with 11 points in the third quarter at that point, 16 for the game. He was far from done. The lead, 11 with 7:41 to go in the third. Cornette, offensive rebound. Feed to Jaylen Brown, threw it down for the dunk. At that point, for me, there was nothing the Mavericks were doing in terms of their play or the numbers that suggested they were going to get back and make a run. Under 5 to go, Celtics offensive rebound on a missed free throw. Floater from White, 81-63. And that was the moment. Okay, it's still the third quarter. There's time on the clock. But again, Cornette kept the possession alive after a missed free throw from the Mavericks. Tatum knocked down a 3 with under 2.5 to go. 22-point lead. Just kept it going. Got after it on the glass. Hauser knocked down a 3, 25-point lead, as I mentioned, in that third quarter. Quentin Grimes had a big dunk in the third quarter. Flexed a little bit, celebrated, but at that point in time, you're looking up and you're saying, hey, guy, you got a long way to go. And he had a big second half. But Derrick White was terrific. All 5 starters, double figures after 3 quarters. Derrick White, 16 in that third quarter as well. And that's what you love to see. Guys picking up for other guys. White, 16 again in that third quarter, and did not end up leading the team in points, but had 23. Tatum had 24. But how about the 3-pointers from your starters? Pritchard knocked down a couple off the bench. So did Hauser. But Tatum, 4 threes, 12 attempts. That's a lot. Not the greatest percentage. Worst percentage on the 3-point line. Jaylen Brown didn't hit one in 5 tries. Porzingis knocked down 3 threes. Took maybe the longest 3 I've ever seen him take. I believe it was in the second half, but I mean, it was from way downtown. But Derrick White, 4 threes. Jrue Holiday mentioned it again. 5 of 10 on the 3-point line. And Jrue Holiday had 17. All 5 starters again. Overall, Holiday, 500, 50% from the field. White was 7 of 16. A lot to like about it. That's the effort that you want to see game in, game out. That's the effort you certainly want to see after getting blown out by the Lakers a couple of nights ago. Back to the comments. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button. Don't be a stranger. Join the conversation. We love our everydayers. We love our first-timers as well. Akram, again, just hope we can build a streak of wins now instead of winning and losing. Yeah, for a while, 2-game win streak, winning against the Warriors and Clippers in the first 2 games of the trip. You came into Dallas Saturday. Hey, a loss 2-2. That would have been a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth after starting 2-0. But now you've won 3 of 4. And if the Celtics had lost to the Mavericks in Dallas, they would have been 500 through their last 20 games. They got a little breathing room on that one. Looks a little bit better than 10-10 through 20. So 11-9 over their last 20 games. You'll take that. right? You'll go from that. But yes, agree, 100%. Go home, win the next two. Houston's not going to be easy. We know that. Then you're out on the road again next weekend. After the 2-game homestand, out on the road. New Orleans, Philadelphia, Cleveland. Looking forward to that matchup, but there's a lot of basketball to be played before the next matchup with the Cavaliers. Dave Pasch on the ABC broadcast. Want to see this here. I did not have, bear with me for just a moment. I didn't have the Cavaliers home tonight or playing. Oh, no, they're playing right now. They're actually at home. Cavaliers are at home, down in the second quarter as we speak. Yes, I'm giving a scoreboard update. Not scoreboard watching, but scoreboard watching. If you're ever with us with the Locked On Red Sox postcast in 2024, we scoreboard watch, but we don't admit it. So Cleveland right now down 55-48. Still plenty of time. That game's in the second quarter. But the Celtics with the victory, shame on me. I thought the Mavericks were, or the Cavaliers were off. So the Celtics now within 5 games. Houston wins that game, and I'd like to see the Rockets win. That way, if they lose, they're not all PO'd coming to Boston on Monday night. But you're within 4.5 games if the Cavaliers do lose. You pick up a full game in the standings. Are we looking at the standings? Yeah, of course we are. Top 2 teams in the East. I mentioned Cavaliers on the schedule at the end of that up next road trip. Still a lot of basketball to be played before then. But that's going to be fun to watch, of course, as well. Right now, the season series, Cavaliers-Celtics 1-1. Pascal, first quarter, shaky, yes, but they stayed connected. They did. There's been some games recently where you're like, a lot of one-on-one, a lot of shots, a lot of dribbling, a lot of long shots. I don't know that was the case. If it was minimal against the Mavericks. There wasn't a lot of dribbling out on the perimeter and then hoisting up a shot. Plenty of assists, plenty of unselfish basketball from the Celtics Saturday night. Paul checking in. Tale of 2 halves for White. Yes. I'll give you those numbers here in just a moment. Pascal checking in one more time. Houston game should be fun. Really hope we see the best of the Celtics. Again, that first game back home after a road trip for decades now. Tongue-in-cheek, that's a tough one for the home team because you go home, you're home Sunday, you got the family, you got friends back in the picture as more and more, and you kind of go from there. Mention Derrick White. First half for Derrick White. 1 of 7, 1 of 5 on the three-point line, 5 points. That second half, though, Derrick White, terrific. So, again, Pascal, was it Pascal there? It was Paul. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, Derrick White gave you the numbers there for the first half. We're going to take a break here in just a moment. But White, 6 of 9, 3 threes in the second half, and 18 points for White in the second half. I think I have to update that for myself. 18 of what turned out to be a 23-point performance from Derrick White. I like Derrick White a lot. I really do. Kyrie Irving, former Celtic for the Dallas Mavericks. There's probably a lot of people who, they don't want Kyrie Irving to do well. Dallas Mavericks fans. We'll talk about KP and his performance coming up in segment number 2. Did not realize this, but Porzingis, it's been a long time since he's put a Mavericks uniform on. But that was actually his first time back in Dallas visiting with the opposing team. We're going to get into his numbers coming up next. Kyrie did something. You may have seen it. You may not have seen it. It's not shame on Kyrie. It's shame on a mom and dad. I'm going to discuss that next. Celtics win 3-1 road trip, winning against the Warriors, winning against the Clippers, losing against the Lakers, and winning against the Dallas Mavericks to complete a 3-1 trip. And our Locked On Celtics postcast, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day, presented by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet that you place. That's $300 to keep the action going. FanDuel app, easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some excitement some extra excitement to the playoffs. FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Get started. $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season, and this playoff season, unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. Celtics, again, picking up the victory. Good win against the Dallas Mavericks. Solid win. 34 points, outscoring the Mavericks 34-20 in that second quarter. Up by 10, going to the third. Up by 20, going to the fourth quarter. That'll be part of Numbers of the Night coming up in segment number 3. But you put 34 up in the second, 37 points up in the third quarter. Dallas had a 31-point fourth quarter, 122-107. And the Celtics do pick up the victory. 3 lead changes. Do I have that right? Yeah, 3 lead changes in the game. Numbers of the night. How about the Celtics taking care of the basketball against the Dallas Mavericks? Against the depleted Dallas Mavericks. Again, don't care about that. 32-14 record for the Celtics now through their first 46 of the season. Mention Richard Jefferson. Right off the top with Dave Pasch. I don't want to hear this phrase again. And one thing I don't want to hear, if the Mavericks had won, Mavericks beat the Celtics, exact revenge from losing the NBA Finals last June. I hate that narrative from the media. No. If the Mavericks had won Saturday night, they didn't. Celtics impressive in the win. But you've seen that before. 2 teams that were in the World Series last year. You know, the Yankees, exact revenge against the Dodgers from losing the World Series October of 2024. No. But Richard Jefferson said something right off the top on ABC with Dave Pasch about the dog days of the season. It's a tough stretch right now through the All-Star break. There are probably a handful of NBA players looking at the All-Star break right now and just counting down the days and games and just limping to get there. But I don't want it. The dog days of a baseball season, August. Are you in the dog days? I mean, we're approaching 50 games on the schedule. Another couple of games, the Celtics are going to have 31 left in the regular season. That 31-game stretch is going to go by in a blink of an eye. Used to do this a lot. Don't do it as often, but a random thought. Do we know if Peyton Pritchard is interested in competing in the three-point shooting contest during the All-Star weekend in a couple of weeks? I hope he is. Here's something you like to hear at the end of a game. Now, I cover college basketball. I'm very fortunate to do play-by-play on ESPN Plus for Quinnipiac University and the MAC Conference. And especially on the women's side in the women's college basketball game right now, you've got timeouts. Even if the game's within 2 or 3 possessions, you've got timeouts where you can advance the basketball. And one of the great things that you hear play-by-play announcers say at the end of a game, hey, fill in the blank, either one or both teams out of timeouts. You know what Dave Pasch said, which it piqued my ears? I'm like, yes, good. They do not have any. They'll no longer be able to challenge a call because there's the stoppage in play. A handful of stops in play. Teams are getting better at using those challenges. And I'm sure there's probably an NBA coach that still struggles with, should we challenge here? Can we challenge here? Can we challenge that? Is that challengeable? All those different things. It's just fun to sort of pay attention to it because I think we're still getting that feeling out process as well. So back to the comments we go. Again, if you're with us, Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, A, thank you very much. B, join the conversation. PK Tattoos, 3-in-1 road trip. No reason for all the panicking going on. PK Tattoos, you've been consistent with that. John Corrales had it on Twitter. John, Locked On Celtics podcast. Again, part of the Locked On Sports Network. You can get John with Locked On Celtics available wherever you get your podcast. You can also give him a follow with the YouTube channel as well, Locked On Celtics YouTube channel, separate from Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. But give John a follow. I didn't retweet it. I don't have it exact. But PK Tattoos, to your point, John, you can check him out on the X, formerly known as Twitter. Celtics got off to a great start to the season. Celtics are going to win a second straight title. Celtics with a loss here or there. Well, you shouldn't have lost that one. Again, you can look at what John has. But basically saying during this current stretch that could have been 500 through 20 with a loss against the Mavericks Saturday night did not happen. people, they're not going to win a second NBA title, all these different things. Richard Jefferson and Dave Pasch sort of alluded to, the Celtics just have to stay healthy. I'd still like to see an addition. I don't know where it is as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline. But I think one more piece, because again, you can't think that this team stays healthy. And yes, guys have missed games here. We know that. Load management, all the different things, illnesses along the way. Porzingis missing the first, 17 games of the season, been back and forth. But Porzingis is getting closer and closer. I really like his activity, especially on the defensive end right now. And he's going to take a spill pretty much every single game where you're going to cringe and say, oh no, is he done for the year? I'd just like to see an addition. I don't know where it comes from. But just overall, especially if Cleveland's going to add, if the Knicks are going to add, if Milwaukee's going to add, I wonder if that makes the Celtics, if they add just before the deadline, where those teams might be aggressive, the Celtics went into the season pretty much intact from the NBA championship team from last June. Do you add one more piece? Does it make sense? You're going to have to give up something perhaps to get something back in return, perhaps to match the money and all the different things there. But PK Tattoos, again, going to keep you to it. No panicking necessary right now. Pascal, Houston game should be fun. Yep. Wait, I think we got that one. One more from PK Tattoos. Another all-around game. Good to see the team playing as one. Yep. Great road trip, 3-1. Ren Jill. KP and Luke were good facilitating the offense and protecting the rim tonight. 5 assists, each combined for 5 blocks. Ren Jill, think I got it right. I think that's your first. I think you're a first timer, at least in the comments section. Locked On Sports Boston. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. We do get into some of the numbers tonight. I alluded to it at the top. The bench got their points. Wasn't a big point production night for the guys coming off the bench. The starters, all 5 in double figures. But Pritchard, Cornette, Hauser, Pritchard and Hauser, I think, both knocked down a pair of threes in the win. But they did a lot of other things, and they still filled up the stats column as well. We'll discuss that, get into numbers of the night as we continue right here, Locked On Celtics Postcast. Good energy. Love the comments. Hey, by the way, the Real Darrell. You know what? Real Darrell, I got one for you after this. Locked On Celtics Postcast brought to you by Talkspace. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule, we know can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours. It is convenient. You can save sessions you can have your sessions with the therapist from the comfort of your own home and even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans, and for most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize your mental health. As a listener of this podcast, a Locked On Celtics Postcast, you are going to get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA and enter the promo code SPACE80, SPACE, and the number 80, SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com again /LockedOnNBA and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show as well. That's Talkspace.com /LockedOnNBA, promo code SPACE80. All right, this is for Mike Driscoll and the Real Darrell. Because at the end of Thursday against the Lakers in Los Angeles, as we're wrapping up our Locked On Celtics postcast, the Real Darrell, and I've had this idea, you're going to have to take my word for it, the Real Darrell. Actually, it's in the works. I have to get the okay and the blessing from my bosses at Locked On Sports. But yes, I'm trying to get, at least once in a while maybe, I'd like to call it the big three, to have 3 on. The Real Darrell, Pascal's a possibility. He's in the running. I feel like Jim Rome here. Mike Driscoll. Those guys have been with us. Those are our everydayers right now. And I do appreciate it. And our numbers continue to grow. Appreciate that as well. On the Locked On Celtics postcast and podcast feed, or with Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel when we get live. But the Real Darrell asked the other day, hey, can I get on with you live? We have the capability. I just have to get the blessing. I am working on it. All right. So I missed it to get it out there the other day, but wanted to get it out here tonight as the Celtics victorious in Dallas over the Mavericks. Let's get into the numbers of the night. Have a handful. 122-107 the final, 15-point lead, or 15-point victory, led by as many as 25, did not trail in the second half. 23s for the Celtics for just the second time in the last 12 games. Again, Celtics, terrific in terms of knocking down the threes, and it was the starter. Celtics led by 20 going to the fourth quarter, extended the lead from 10 to 20 during the third quarter, again, led by as many as 25. The Celtics now have led by 20 or more 11 times on the season. The best number of the night? How about 0? 0? 0? Yeah, 0. The Celtics had 0 turnovers in the first half, and they outscored the Mavericks 15-0. Ended up with 21 points off of turnovers, but 15-0 in the first half. Celtics ended up with 4 turnovers total for the entire game. That is outstanding. You know why that's outstanding? 4 turnovers, outstanding all on its own. But you do that on the final game of a road trip. That, for me, outstanding for the Celtics. Let's get into the bench guys. Again, all 5 starters in double figures. All 5 starters, 15 or more points, 3 with 20 or more. Tatum led the way with 24. Do the math real quick in my head. 16 threes. 16 of the 23s knocked down by the Celtics starters in the win. Horford, 2 of 8 from the field, did not knock down a 3. Had 4 rebounds, 4.6 rebounds. Luke Cornett, plus 21 off the bench. Luke Cornett. Oh, Cornett only had 2 points. He was 1 of 4 from the field. Cornett had 9 rebounds, 3 on the offensive end, and he also had 5 assists. That's outstanding. Hauser knocked down a couple of threes. Hauser, that's what he does. Knocked down, but Cornett plus 21. Hauser had the 6 points off the bench. Springer, Walsh both got in there for the final minute 33 of the game. Man, I would love to see a commitment to Jaden Springer. I wonder if Jaden Springer is going to be with the Celtics organization at the trade deadline. That's going to be you're getting back something if you're giving Jaden Springer in a trade. Not saying giving away, but if he's part of a deal before the trade deadline or at the trade deadline. Especially with what he did against the Clippers a couple of games ago. The bench entirely. But the bench, again, total points, not really 12, 16, 18 total points. But the rebounds, the assists from the bench guys, we're talking about the starters mostly in this one, but the bench guys came in. I mean, Cornett, again, 9 rebounds and 5 assists. It's outstanding. Take that, and as I say on occasion, take it, run with it. Celtics are home for the next 2. Lance Geek, assist to turnover. Yeah, we touched on the turnovers, 4 total. Lance, appreciate that. 33 assists on 44 made field goals. Mike Driscoll's normally with us. Mike loves that number as well. 33 assists on 44 made field goals. Yeah, connected. Dallas, 18 assists on 39 made field goals. A lot of one-on-one in there. But the Celtics, again, the other night, Tatum, there was a couple times against the Lakers where it just drove me crazy. The threes weren't forced, making that extra pass. A lot to like about the win. You know what we're going to like even more? The Celtics return home, beat the Houston Rockets on Monday night as well. We look ahead here in just a moment. The Real Darrell, one more. Ball movement, shot selection, things you look for with this team. And they're back. Now, let's see, build on it. 2 at home After that, 3 in a row on the road. Renjil, one more. My greetings to you. Boston here from the Philippines. Love it. Hi to all Filipino Boston fans. Happy to subscribe on the channel. Love it. Stay with us as well. Give us a thumbs up, Renjil. That's the way I have it right now. Make sure I'm pronouncing that the right way. Give us a thumbs up or say okay, something like that to let us know. Let's look ahead. We're trying to stay under Kevin McHale's number, 32. I think we can get there. Let's try this. Gave you the numbers of the night. What's on tap? Celtics home against the Rockets Monday against Chicago on Wednesday. Then on the road for 3 after that. At New Orleans next Friday, Philadelphia, and then Cleveland. The Mavericks will be in Boston on Thursday, February 6th. Hey, I want to see Luka in the lineup. There was a year where it was Porzingis and Luka in Dallas, and I covered them pre and post on ESPN radio in the Dallas market. I'd like to see Luka back by February 6th. That might be pushing it a little bit. Luka comes back when he's as close to 100% as possible. He's not coming back likely at 75, 80%. So we'll see what happens. As always, we do thank you. On a Saturday, great audience with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Appreciate it. Do not take you for granted. Tell your friends about us as we continue to build this audience. Hopefully, another run into deep June with the NBA Finals. As always, we also want to take a moment, recognize the sponsors as well. Sponsor our sponsors. If you're sponsoring them, you are helping us out with Locked On Sports. Tip of the cap to FanDuel and TalkSpace. Home for the next 2. The victory against the Mavericks looks even bigger if you win at home against the Rockets on Monday. We will be on within minutes of the final buzzer. Rockets, Celtics looking to take both meetings during the regular season with what we can still call the up-and-coming Houston Rockets. Certainly a dangerous team. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics every day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everybody.